Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Padma Vibhushan Dr. G. Madhav Nayar is one who does not require any formal introduction because for many years he has been the public face of India's premier space agency. He is fondly referred to as the Moon Man. He has not only won the deep-seated admiration of our fellow countrymen, but also international honor and acclaim. But as is customary, to formally introduce the guest speaker of today's inaugural address, I now call Ms. Tina Thomas to introduce the venerable guest to the gathering.
The great dramatist George Bernard Shaw once said, "An ordinary man looks at things and asks, why? But a great man dreams of things that do not even exist and asks, why not?" Today we are fortunate enough to have one such esteemed, distinguished and great personality amidst us. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce him to this gathering. Shri Dr. G. Madhav Nayar was born on the last day of October, 4 years before Indian independence, at Neyattingara near Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. He completed his BSc in engineering from Trivandrum Engineering College with specialization in electricals and communication in 1966. Then he underwent a one-year training at Bath Training School in Bombay, Space. He also served as the General President of the 97th Indian Science Congress, 2009-10. He adorned the post of Secretary at the Department of Space from September 2003 to October 2009, and during those 6 years of dedicated service, he could accomplish more than 25 successful missions. The most exciting and well-known among these missions was Chandrayaan-1. And it's very interesting to note that this beloved guest of ours is known by the name Moon Man. This shining stalwart of the space research field has many laurels and accolades to his credit. He has been awarded 20 doctorates in recognition of his contribution to the space research field. He is also the proud recipient of all the 3 Padma Awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and the more recent Padma Vibhushan.
Thank you, ma'am. On the momentous occasion of this Disney celebrations, it's a proud privilege to felicitate the stalwart Padma Vibhushan Dr. G. Madhav Nayar. As you may now well know, his
listen. Bukan kami terima. Kenapa kau? Kenapa dia stay ini? Jenis.
I now request the dignitaries to felicitate and honor the founder principal, Professor K.V. Raghunath sir.
Opportunity to introduce to you the founder principal of Sri Aurobindo PU College, Sri K.V. Raghunath, who is with us today to grace this occasion. Sri K.V. Raghunath, after retiring as the registrar of Kuvempu University, joined our institution as the principal of the college in its year of inception. He has rendered an unparalleled service and played a crucial role.
ಹನುಮಂತ್ ತಲೆ ಮುಖಲ ಕಾಣಲ್ಲ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ.
I now request the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Madhav Nayar, to address the gathering.
Treasurer of Sri Aurobindo Foundation, Sri P. Devendra, Secretary and Academic Director, Sri T. Prakash, Vice President, Professor K.V. Raghunath, Founder Principal, Sri K. Nagaraj, Principal of the Institute, and other dignitaries on the dais, my dear students, teachers, parents, and friends from the media, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. Well, I think it stops there. Beyond that, I can't. Okay. Also, എന്നെ ഈ സദസ്സിന് വളരെ നല്ലവിധം പരിചയപ്പെടുത്തിയതിന് I think you are a lot to be in this fantastic ambience, and I never thought in any part of Canada can be as beautiful as this. Somebody was referring to this as a gateway to Malanad of Karnataka. Initially, I got confused. In Malam mountain. Region starts from here. But later I had to know it was transformed Maya, which is rain. So it's another. And also a fantastic place to live. And more than that, I think the institute like the principal has very nicely summarized the actions of the institute for the past decade. And despite the trustees, teachers, and students, it's a very and also pretty expensive. Also the course which are next and benefits the entire community, not only in also the surroundings. It's a human story, and that too is the name of the thing. I will say my compliments to all people. Well, I face of the student. Confident that we can achieve high free in the years to come with enthusiasm, dedication, and passion. I'm so happy to see my right hand, whom I also everything in engineering, rocketry, the and the people, and all those things from him, and I know it. In fact, what I today is simply because of the ideas, principles that they can have taught us. See, he's a economic scientist, and of course, he's completely wedded to science. He's a bachelor of years, and he's all the time in pursuit of the science and technology for the country. We had an opportunity to work with him for almost 20 years at Tirunelveli, and later he found defense research area, and ultimately you know what he became. He became the missile man, and also the man for the atomic weapon. And that's a very, very good example for each and every one of you. I'm sure that many of you have read The Wings of Fire, where his life is probably right until the last 5 years back. They depicted how he came from a very poor, rural environment, selling or rather distributing newspapers to earn small income for livelihood, and quite often going with almost half full stomach to sleep, that he gets a college education, and so on. From then onwards, it's a meteoric rise. And if you analyze his achievement, it's clear. It's not the extraordinary intelligence which is helping, but his passion, his vision, his commitment, and hard work. And even today, mind you, he works more than 18 hours a day. And quite often I get called in the middle of the night to discuss on some of the points, and he's still working when I'm sound asleep at my house. So that's the kind of person. And you know, if you acquire these qualities, I'm sure each and every one of you can really become great leaders. I'm not saying it's only in the science and technology. There are very many areas where one can really contribute. I don't know whether he has asked this question to you as to how many wants to go to moon, how many wants to become engineers, etc. And ultimately, I understand the final question was how many wants to become politicians. And even today, I would like to repeat the question: how many of you would like to become politicians? Very poor response. Okay. Well, even that has to be taken as a profession. You know, there's a lot of challenges associated with running the country, leading the people, and so on. So, the highly skilled and professional talents have to get into that arena. Then you will see the end to the type of stories what you are hearing in the media. Of course, I don't fully believe the media. They Skype it so much, and they take a lot of leverage out of negative information and so on. But all the same, there is a feeling that our political leadership is not able to deliver what the country needs. So this is where the challenge of the young generation is. Of course, it goes without saying, the nation building is one of the greatest tasks in front of you. India is a very unique country. We can be proud that we have really almost inching, or maybe before end of this year, we will be the third largest economic power in the world. That is after USA, China, and ourselves. Today, Japan is standing in between, and today, because of various other natural calamities, etc., there is a slight downward trend. Whereas India is progressing at more than almost to 10%. Our annual growth is there, and that is something which we can be proud of. But on the other hand, we have problems of various kinds. You know that 70% of our population are living in villages, and how to improve the quality of life of these villagers, that's a real great challenge. In fact, to provide the basic amenities like water, drinking water, the food, then the health and hygiene, providing the appropriate education, and so on. So if you want to fill this, the wealth what is created in the metros and other high-tech industries has to get distributed for the development of the entire country, especially the rural people. Today, you know, out of the 70%, half of the people are below poverty line, even with the low official standards what they have kept. But that's not something which we can be really happy about. One has to see that how it can be improved. If you want to do that, only application of science and technology can solve such a problem. You know, way back in the 60s, it is Dr. Swaminathan and a team of scientists who brought in the green revolution in the country. He has given a thrust to the agricultural field and concentrating on improving the productivity. The net result, today we are self-reliant in the food grains. But at the same time, you know, in about 10 years or so, our population will almost go to about 1.5 billion. So that is almost 20-30% more than what we have now. So correspondingly, it's estimated if you want to have a good quality of life, our food productivity has to nearly double than what it is today. The agricultural land is more or less constant. We cannot multiply. So only way is to bring in more productivity out of the given land. So that means a second green revolution has to take place in the country. The next comes about the energy. You know, we have tapped almost all the possible natural resources in this area, and still we have a heavy dependence on fossil fuels, the petroleum products and gas products, and that's having a big drain on our economy. And perhaps after 50 years we may find it impossible to even get this fuel from outside countries. Then of course the choice of atomic power plants are there, but the problem associated with that is one of high investment compared to something like 2 or 3 crores per megawatt what we have a conventional energy. It calls for about 20 to 25 crores investment for 1 megawatt of atomic power. Not only that, even atomic fuel, though we have some resources, we are not tapped sufficiently, so still we have to depend on the other countries for the atomic fuel. So only way is to harness the unconventional energy, especially the solar energy and the wind energy, which is abundantly there. Of course, you must have seen that quite a few windmills have come in the many hilly regions in Karnataka, and they are feeding to the grid. And in fact, it's surprising to know that the atomic power contribution today is something like 5,000 megawatts, whereas the wind energy is contributed to nearly 13,000 megawatts. And it's quite possible it can multiply manifold in the coming years. Again, there's a technology challenge associated with that. These windmills which are running here, most of them are designed in European countries, and they are designed for a much higher wind speed. So when it comes and operates at a low wind speed, their efficiencies are low. So this is something, you know, we have to have innovative solution to see that our windmills are designed for Indian conditions and to have a much longer life, so that it provides energy at a very low and affordable cost. In fact, I am happy to say that our National Aerospace Laboratory here in Bangalore has made some attempts. They have put together a windmill with a very modern technology of composites, for making the blade, so they're lightweight. Again, the blade profile is tuned in such a way they can give maximum efficiency at lower wind speeds. That's one area where one can really apply the technology. Yet another is, yes, the sun is shining almost every day in this part of the globe, and we must be happy about it. And in fact, if we can tap the solar energy, we may not need any other form of energy for sustaining our lifestyle. But the challenges associated with that are many. One, of course, is the sun is shining only in the daytime, so we have to have the energy in the night time. So we have to have efficient ways of storing this energy so that it can be utilized when we need maximum. The second, of course, is related to the solar cell itself. Today, the silicon cells which are available in the market, they are prohibitively expensive. I mentioned earlier about something like 2 crores per megawatt for the conventional energy, but the solar power will need something like 10 crores per megawatt. So this is again a very high cost and which is not affordable. Then comes, that means one has to really innovate on the solar cell technology and see that it is made less expensive, affordable to the common man, and for control and so on. So multiple disciplines of technology has to be integrated together to deliver a solar power plant for the future, which will target for something like 50% conversion efficiency, and which will be able to store almost at least 60-70% of the energy within at the back of it and release it as and when you need. Of course, there are other means of converting solar power by having concentrators. You can go for steam generators. The steam can be driving some turbines and so on. Or in another way, cost-effective solutions one has to find. Second, of course, another source of energy is from the agricultural waste and the food waste. It is possible to generate methane. So, there are n number of technology challenges which one needs to harness for improving the quality of life of our people. If you look at the history of the Western countries, in the era of industrialization lasting for almost last 200 years, they have mastered almost all the technologies, but we have to pay a price for it. They have charged each and every element of it, all the investment which has gone to it. The net result is most of these technologies are not affordable to a developing country like ours. So our thrust has to be in developing affordable technologies for the Indian conditions. I mentioned the example of Professor Swaminathan, how he brought in the agricultural wave revolution in the country. And of course, I think you are all familiar with what we have achieved in space, right from scratch, building the rockets, building the spacecraft, using them for various applications, even going to the moon. We have demonstrated the first attempt. And not only that, we have shown to the world for the first time that there is water on the surface of the moon. So this goes to the credit of Indian talents. Look at the atomic area. Our atomic scientists have deciphered the mysteries of atom. They were able to put, he didn't take the apple and eat it. Instead of that, he started thinking why it is falling down. So you know the Newton's principles and associated laws and how it has revolutionized physics. Then at one time we were all happy that the Newton's principles, then later the electromagnetic equations from Maxwell and of course thermodynamics and all those things were more than sufficient to explain anything and everything out of the universe. But then Einstein came, and at an young age he started thinking radically. He started questioning the relevance of all those principles. He started imagining, can we have a unified theory which will explain every phenomena under the sun? Because the earlier theories are all associated with a particular type of observation. So that finally led to the famous E is equal to mc squared, the relation between energy and matter. And then later you know how it is transformed into the atomic power and so on. So it's the critical analysis of the various natural phenomena around you, and then how to have an analytical mind to question and think radically and question and try to find out new and new answers. That is what will lead to the scientific pursuit and progress. So I'm sure as a young generation, it is for you to take such a path. This I'm not just limiting the science alone. Even in the society, you must be able to analyze why things are happening the way it is. And something may be for good, something may not be for good. Look at the events like terrorism and so on. So what is the root cause for this? What is the type of solution one can find for this, so that the whole world can live in peace? Perhaps the first and starting point is the basic education, and to impart the awareness on the morality and the concern and sympathy for the fellow beings. So that kind of thinking has to come, and each one will have to be the nucleus for such development in the country. If you take the service sector, you should learn how to do the service in a selfless manner. Always there is a personal profit agenda. I will rather wait for the question from you so I can try to respond to the rest of my ability. Thank you for the question.
Thought-provoking words and words of wisdom. Now is the time for the interaction. Students are informed to first state the name, the college they come from, and then ask the questions in a brief, clear, and concise manner.
Shimoga. My question is, in India there are so many technical institutes, all imparting engineering in various streams. Then why is so that there are so few institutions imparting education in aerospace and aeronautics? Like after Russia and USA, like India is advancing so much in space research. Then why are so few institutions here and so less scope for the youngsters?
A large number of graduates, but the quality is really suffering. That is mainly because we do not have experienced and trained teachers. So that is one of the handicaps which we are facing today. But as far as the aeronautics is concerned, yes, there are only very few institutes who are giving basic training in the aeronautics and aerospace related subjects, like a few IITs and a few universities in Punjab and so on. But unfortunately, today the attraction towards the IT industry is so high. Though people specialize in various subjects, they don't stick to it. So this leads to a scarcity in terms of availability of the trained manpower for aerospace projects. So virtually we start taking raw graduates, training them in space. That has been so. But of late, we have established a special institute at Thiruvananthapuram. It's a Space Science and Technology, Institute of Space Science and Technology, which imparts training in aerospace and guarantee a job in space itself. So we are trying to improve the situation. Similarly, the National Aeronautics Research Laboratory at Bangalore, we take young graduates and put them through training, which leads to MTech and PhD and so on. So we are slowly trying to cultivate in this field. But again, it is left to the youngsters who should make the right choice.
And my question is that India depends a great deal on, for both civil and military purposes, on the United States-led GPS, Global Positioning System, that is. So, does India have any plans for indigenous navigation systems? That is.
Yes, I think today, looking at all these aspects, we have taken some initiatives. India will have its own navigation system in about 2 to 3 years from now. It is based on a set of geostationary satellites which will be the precision timing and position signals which can be used for these applications in the country. That will be a guaranteed and accurate system. It is called the Indian Regional Navigation System.
I want to ask a question that cosmic radiation responsible for formation and maintaining the universe. Can we utilize cosmic energy for our energy purpose.
The other form of radiation from stars and the faraway objects, by the time it reaches to the Earth's outer layers, it is very, very weak. The energy content of that is very small, and even to detect them, we struggle, very sensitive detectors we used and so on. So that's why primarily we have to harness the energy from sun, and most of them are available in the visible region itself. So that energy harnessing is going to be much used to us for the immediate future.
Vision of 2020, and what are your guiding principles for this end generation to achieve this return?
And a dream. And you should have the energy to make those dreams come true. For that, you have to work hard, you have to really go with a passion, dedication and commitment.
In this 21st century, where education has just become a more of a business enterprise rather than imparting quality education, like the innovation is just given, it is over before it blooms. So how can we overcome those difficulties, sir?
This is a real issue for us today. There was one time when the government has invested in most of the educational facilities, especially the research facilities and advanced institutes of learning like IITs, IIScs and so on. That happened in the 50s and 60s. But afterwards, the amount which is required to sustain this and reach out to everybody has become prohibitively expensive. That is where the private entrepreneurs were really encouraged to do that. But some of the institutes are doing extremely well, mainly because they have got mainly voluntary, and the profit motive is not at the bottom line. So that helps them to do better performance. But there are quite a few institutes, they just purely on a commercial basis. You spend so much of money, you have to get that much out of the students which are spending time there and so on, and does not care for the quality of the thing. This situation has to change. Especially in the school education, one basic limitation is most of the education is oriented based on exams. People, their memory power is tested, and not their skills to absorb knowledge and apply the knowledge. So that situation has to come, and perhaps a radical change in the curriculum itself is required. Various practicals, whether it is in the science, technology or the social science, whatever be the field, the children should be allowed to wet their hands at an early age. So that will naturally lead to innovation and thinking, which will help them to bring out better ideas. Most of the scientific or the social revolutions have taken place when people are in the 20s or below 30s. So that means, that the real talent will really sprout at age group. And if you nurture right from the early stages of schooling, then only it can come. Again, it's a social problem which needs to be addressed by the professional societies, the politicians and political leaders and so on. And I'm sure in due course, if India has to sustain and emerge as a global power, it is not only the quantity, but quality also has to be given the trust.
How safe is the world we live in? Can there be any precautions to see that the scientific innovations do not result in the disaster of the world planet?
Good, and it can be used for bad also. So today, with the type of connectivity and the reach which one is having, it is impossible to contain the scientific data. I understand, if you go to the net, you can get all the details how to make an atomic bomb. But you cannot get the material, so you cannot put them together. So the basic thing is the knowledge will be there, and we have to create an awareness in everybody that the peaceful coexistence is the only way of survival for the world. So if we spread that message, then only we can tackle this problem.
For astronauts are sent to space by outer space centers. My question is, why can't our astronauts be sent to space through our own launching center?
We were 20 years behind other countries. So naturally our first priority was to master the technology associated with rockets, satellites and so on. More than that, we felt that we have a responsibility to society, so we have to use this advanced knowledge for the benefit of the society. So we put up satellites for Earth observation, communication, etc. So that is serving the people at large. So that has been our first priority, and we are more or less matured into that. The next phase, of course, is why not we explore the frontiers of outer space, and there the human presence is unavoidable. For that, require a lot of resources, the new technologies for making a capsule which can safeguard the life in outer space and ensure the proper living conditions in zero gravity and vacuum conditions. So this needs to be developed, and we may be able to set aside certain resources from now onwards. And if everything goes all right, in about 6 to 10 years' time, we should be able to send our astronauts on our own. But at the same time, we are concentrating more on remote observation, using the satellite with large telescopes and robotic arms and so on, so that our scientific objectives can be by and large met. But ultimately, India should also emerge as one of the space power with the capability to send our astronauts on our own launch vehicles in India also.
Important are big challenges for our economy. Spending billions and millions in space research, what do we get in return?
Well, you are rich in water, there are a lot of resources available. But you just go 100 kilometers north, is a dry area. You don't get water that easily. Using the satellite observation technology, we have developed certain techniques by which we can identify the area where you will get underground water, and we can direct the people to go and drill wells there, and that will yield the drinking water. So like that, in the country, more than 100,000 wells are done in a year. Previously, without this technology, the yield in such wells used to be hardly 30%. But using the satellite technology, it has come to 90%. Just the sheer cost of non-yielding well itself will pay for a few satellites. Again, similarly, the agriculture, is quite often is affected by drought, floods, and pests.
So you are talking about solar energy, and the reservoir should be within it. So can you tell me, can you put a bit light on it, how to save or how to store the energy within it?
Commercially used for automobiles and so on, and that stores energy, and when the sunlight is not there, you can tap from the battery. Then the extension of that is what I was talking about. You can have the first layer of the solar panel as the solar cell itself, which will convert into electricity, and the next few layers will be the anodes, the electrolyte and the cathode of a conventional storage cell. It may not be like the lead acid cell, but there are instruments like the lithium cell and so on. So that kind of deposit, and you make a composite layer. To fully answer your question, you send it as an email.
Are migrating from our country, and they are giving their contribution in the other foreign countries. So what are the steps our government is trying to minimize this, to stop them to migrate from our countries?
So here also is the same. Today the connectivity is far better, so people from here, they migrate to foreign countries. Simply is a personal agenda of earning a better income, nothing more than that. Of course, on the other hand, some of the facilities, research facilities available in foreign countries are better than what there is in the country, and so people may benefit out of going over there, not only personally but professionally as well. But the talents we are left behind, they are sufficiently large, we may be able to pick up whatever needed for our programs from the but at the same time, it's a free world, so we cannot have restrictions beyond a point. But yes, some thinking is going on. I think some of you would have had the shock wave already, saying that the IIT fees is going to be some 2 lakhs per year or so. But the whole intention is, of course, not to deter any one of you going to an IIT. If you are studying in IIT and come out and serve the country, that fees will be waived. But whereas the fellows who migrate to other places, they will have to pay back full amount. So that distinction at least will come in next few years.
PSPU Independent College. My question is this. what are the necessary properties to consider one as a planet?
I think the planetary international planetary society proper moral values inducted right from the school stage onwards, and they should be made to be tolerant to various principles, and they should give respect the human life and the fellow human beings. So having a highly focused education only can change.
My first question is, today we are badly concentrate on technical subjects. We don't come to basic science to gain education. What is your opinion about the basic science and also the technical course? And my second question is, we are the first who reached the moon recently.
Young generation should very dispassionately look at what they want to do and encourage them to do the thing which they like, not because their parents or friends are pressurizing them. Today, yes, I think there is a distortion in the wage structure of IT industries vis-a-vis other sectors in the country. So the net result is there is a large suction towards such area, and that is wasting talents. We have to overcome this. Of course, with various reforms which have taken place in the country, a respectful position with your parents do that.
Thank you, sir. My second question answered.
Well, I think very good described. It's I think I have heard many places that you are on the top of the world. I felt that on that day. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Really, it is a miraculous type of thing. This is just not only your intelligence, hard work, and all, and then even the luck also goes with that. And I was happy my Guruji was on my side when we deposited the Indian flag on the moon.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Monica. I am from Sri Aurobindo College. I want to ask you, sir, what created interest for you towards the space technology? Who was the inspiration for you, sir?
It was one of those accidents. I almost decided to go to one of those atomic power plants and start my career in atomic energy. But the day before the final placement, one senior scientist from Tumba rocket launch came there, and he said that we are going to start a new program on rocketry. Are there any volunteers? Is the name he used. And I gladly raised my hand for two reasons. One is a new and challenging field. Second, that particular rocket launch station happened to be in my hometown. So that accident has changed the course of the world class. We have the rockets, all kinds of our human exploration. There, first of all, we should have means to access the outer space at a relatively low cost. Today, if you want to send 1 kilogram to near Earth orbit, it costs equivalent of something like 20,000. The next is, as I mentioned earlier, the human presence in space is a must. So human capsules which can take...
We know that whenever we need certain sorts of newspaper or internet when we browse, we do come across a lot of things that something is happening in NASA. NASA is doing these type of things, but we really do not know much thing about the ISRO. It's just because there are not prominent institutions which can just lay out where to go, what to do in that, to trace the way and carve the way for us. But as compared to NASA, a single child also over here, he might be knowing what are the future plans of NASA. But whenever it's the time of it, we have a deficiency of knowledge. What is the reason for that? There should be institutions. Why the government is not taking any step regarding that?
We have got a website which describes what
people, those who are sitting over there, they know that we do have a lot of much potential. But the main thing what we want to say that how to encourage those potentials so that we can also be on the top. We cannot just go on saying that yes, NASA is on the top. We want India to be on the top. I just want to ask, what's your opinion? What do you want to say to the youth regarding that?
The first is next entrance exam for IAST in sometime in February. You write that exam and choose space as your career. Okay? Then you can do it.
Thank you, sir.
what is the role of space research in the field of defense system of our country?
Has to be overcome. That's the first and foremost. Second thing is, I think we have to say that it is not only I which is important, it is we as a society, as a village, as a town, as a state. So we are all together. If that feeling comes, the corruption will slowly vanish. Well, I think, see, if you look at the nearest...
We know about the INSAT series of satellites. Most of the INSAT series of satellites were launched from either a Delta rocket of NASA or from French Guiana, Europe. But we tried to launch our own INSAT 4C from GSLV, but it was a failure. So why do we prefer other countries to launch INSAT series?
Until the GSLV was commissioned. GSLV, we have made 6 launches. 3 of them were successful, 3 of them will succeed. Of course, that is the learning phase and will take some time. So mainly because the heavy satellites, we do not have the capacity to launch. That's why we depend on the ESA. But we have plans. The GSLV, currently the piloting stage is in the final stage of preparation. Sometime next year, we may be able to make a repeat launch. And also we are developing what is called the GSLV Mark III, which can carry about 4 tons into low Earth orbit. Well, you know, the atmosphere is really a station above the atmosphere is important. So that is how the station idea came. Not only that, when it is going around, it is almost a zero-G condition. Under the zero-G condition, you can have material processing, generation of new drugs and so on. So that's the whole purpose of generating this station by some of the countries together. And that is doing many experiments through the outer, with respect to galaxies, stellar phenomena and so on. But of course, it is not found to be as cost effective as other means. Well, I think atomic power could be considered for propulsion, but a conventional rocket and send it from the ground, by any chance if it breaks up in the atmosphere, it will put the atomic waste all over the globe. So that is not recommended. So today the consideration is only for deep space mission. Suppose you want to go to the end of the solar system, you may require a lot of energy.
My question is, do UFOs, do they really exist? And if they exist, have the people about them, have they landed on Earth or they have returned to their native?
Well, I partially answered earlier. It's nothing like our imagination, our dreams, some are reality. Sometimes, you know, some of the military systems may be tested in the atmosphere. There won't be any announcement and the shape also may be odd.
What is your opinion about that, sir?
I don't wish to go to end. There is nothing which can come to Earth for the next 70 years. So you can be guaranteed that no outer space object will be killing you or reaction. And materials like helium-3, you know, which is available in Moon, could be used in the long run for such reactions. Thank you.
On PCMC and PCMD for getting engineering and medical students, and what would be the condition or the future of our India for the citizens who are going to be the IAS or IPS to serve our nation? What is the opinion of you on this question?
Well, okay. Has ISRO or NASA, in collaboration of any organization, taken up any programs to
get below the surface? So that's very positive indication. But aliens and life forms, they do not exist in at the Mars at the moment.
Sir, this is Abhishek from PNC. So everyone would encourage engineering or technical education. So now only there in every home there is one engineer. So if everyone becomes engineer, would you think there would be a
how to change a bulb? Do you want such engineers? So not only the number should improve, but the quality also should improve. Then we can claim that we have a. So there is 2 sides to a coin. If you say something, there is at least 5 people to say against it. You know. So it's one of that. Thank you.
I'm going to ask the question there. Alien UFOs have a shape of the saucer shape, and your rockets have the long shape. Why is it so different?
Well, as I told you, conical shape with a long slender body is more optimal. So that could be one of the reasons.
How fast could the UFOs travel if they really?
First of all, it's an unidentified object. So then how do you give a form to it?
Sir, for your thought-provoking words and words of wisdom. Thank you also for enlightening us on the nation's endeavors in our quest to achieve greater levels of personal satisfaction and professional excellence. I now request the founder principal, Professor K. V. Raghunath, to speak a few words.
Yes, my dear colleagues and students, I am very fortunate to share with us today with a great personality like Madhav Nayar, and I really thank very much to the management, my colleagues and also the college for having selected this day particularly to honor me in this occasion. Thank you for all. Thank you.
Now is the time for the presidential address. I now request the Honorable Dr. K.R. this program to address the gathering.
Chief guest for today's function, Ma'am, Padma Bhushan, Madhav Nayar, Madam Nayar, our principal, ex-principal, K. Raghunath, Shri Devendra, and staff, parents, and students. We are a proud plate of you having here with us, sir, Shri Padma Bhushan Madhav Nayar, and a good address plus interaction. Honestly speaking, very clear your speech, sir. But about interaction, I tell you, sir, I got understood only two things. Space, talking about space, there are questions because we are very honestly, yes. Satellites, GSM. When we here, we remember our stanza, Someshana Saka, Someshana was in 100th stanza. It says the first time the space exists. You from people who know a lot of things, people who do a lot of experiments, and so that by all these means, you can do for so many space. In the same way, let's take good knowledge from you, and you achieve so much. And remember, we had to have a four-week country to the top level. So for this, we need a dream, we need a vision, and both of that efforts. I think this is very important for my and you had asked a lot of questions. You were so crystal clear in your answers. Our students are enlightened. So this, I think, I thank you. Give a small speech. President, thank you.
After the vote of thanks, we have the national anthem. Be seated. The greatest virtue, but the genesis, because it is gratitude that by lighting the spark of ingenuity in the minds of our students has nurtured in them a desire into aspiring, deserving, and responsible that the nation can be proud of. And I'm sure the students will cherish this for a better tomorrow. Thank you very much. Today's program, the well-known Dr. all the directors and also the treasurer, also known as the person with a healing touch, is widely respected with people seeking his advice in varied fields. In spite of his busy schedule, Sridhar to garland the chief guest. I also thank the Secretary and Academic Director of the Javalli Vidya Samstha, Sri Devendra sir, popularly known as Vidya, whose stellar role has propelled the institution to achieve great heights. Well known as an educationist and administrator par excellence, A practical visionary, he aims at creating a better world for the students and for those around. Whatever we see in and around the campus is a result of his foresight, dynamism, thought and dedication. So on behalf of the entire gathering, I express my sincere thanks to him. Thank you very much, sir. I also thank all the members of the management for their full-fledged support and wholehearted guidance in the successful conduct of this program. I also thank the founder principal of the college, Professor K.V. Raghunath, sir. We are gladdened by your presence, and your presence has infused in us memories of the past. Thank you, sir. I thank our administrative officer, Sri VDV Prasad, popularly known as Mr. Madhav, for his constructive guidance and supportive role throughout the program. I also thank the principal of the college, Sri K. Nagaraj, for the effective implementation and for making all possible arrangements for the successful conduct of this program. I thank the principal of our sister institution, Sri Shrikant M. Hegde, for his gracious presence, his guidance and supportive roles throughout the program. I also thank Mrs. Nayar for her gracious presence and supportive role. Thank you very much, ma'am. I also thank all members of the press fraternity for their participatory and contributory role in the success of this program. I also thank all the parents, members of the staff of various schools and colleges for their active participation in having made the program wholesome, fruitful and successful. I especially thank all the dear students, the synergy of all eyes, whose enthusiastic exuberance, active participation and disciplined forbearance has made the program one worthy of being cherished, and the lofty ideals as put forth by the honored guest as one worthy of being emulated. I also thank all members of the Transport Service, Catering, Food and Publicity departments for their effective and contributory roles in the success of this program. Now, though we come to the end of the formal program, it is in fact a new beginning, a beginning of shared insights whose vision reflects the ideals of an uncommon destiny. So let us keep alive in us this spark of ingenuity that is lit in us in thought, word and deed as we stand steadfast in times of adversity in the days and years to come. So once again, a cordial, warm, heartfelt thanks to one another. I now request everyone to please stand up for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभाशिष